Our next guest sold more than 3.5 million shares of BP at the end of April, his entire stake. Brian Barish is president of Cambiar Investors. He is with us on the phone from Denver. Brian, welcome. Let's start with this. What would it take to get you back into BP as an investor to buy the stock once more?
Well, pretty simple. I'd like to know what exactly happened to cause the rig there to explode and the well to leak so badly. Until we know that, it's hard to say whether there's criminal liability or whether this is simply a bad accident, and that makes a big difference in terms of the value of their legal exposures.
So the X factor, if you will, is the question of negligence.
Exactly.
All right, now let's talk about the costs. You sold your stake at the end of April. It was partly due to your expectations that the cost for this spill would spiral out of control, but the euro was also a factor. Let's look ahead. What's the worst-case scenario for BP from an investor's perspective? We've already heard estimates north of $6–8 billion. BP says it's already spent more than $600 million. Just how bad could it get in your mind?
I'll tell you, the worst-case scenario would be that they don't plug the leak soon. It continues to leak oil, and then we get a big hurricane in the Gulf, and you get oil, washing up just everywhere and damaging all kinds of businesses. In that case, you could imagine some pretty crazy numbers in terms of the cost of remediation. That's a tail risk type of situation, but that'd be the worst case.
All right, Brian, BP was one of your biggest holdings. Have you taken the money that you raised selling those 3.5 million shares and put it to work in another oil company? Do you see value in some of the other E&P companies, or perhaps some of the smaller explorers or oil well servicing companies?
Sure. As you mentioned earlier, we were also concerned at the time that we liquidated our position about the euro problem spiraling out of control, and that to some extent has been happening this month. We did buy a position in Apache, which is North American-based E&P that got dinged up with everything else in the market. We found that pretty interesting, and we're looking at a whole bunch of other ideas
All right, Brian, I think we have run out of time, but great to get your perspective on BP as well as oil investing.